Hey, I'm Steve from Within the Ruins, and this is Brutal Planet.
Hello, this is Ron Bumblefoot Thal of Sons of Apollo, and welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
This is Mike Howe from Metal Church, and welcome to Brutal Planet.
This is Livia Graham from Living, and welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
This is Hulk Hoffman of Bid Y'all Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
Hey, this is JD from Thyra, and welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
Hey, this is Nick Reese from Joyous Wolf, and this is Brutal Planet Magazine.
We are Thunder Mother, and welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
Tom Banglund here. Just want to welcome you guys to Brutal Planet Magazine.
Kevin from the Heavy Metal Shop. Welcome to Brutal Planet. Hello, Metalheads. My name is Patrick Johansson, known from Lions Hair and Outdoors. Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
Greetings, Brutal Planet. We are live today with, is it Murice?
Yeah, Murice.
Murice.
Yeah.
With Murice from the band Apostle. They're a chaotic hardcore band based out of Atlanta.
Yeah,
is that
that's
right?
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for taking the time. We interview quite a few bands, and we don't discriminate because metal is a very diverse genre. Heavy stuff's a very diverse genre, but it's rare that we get a band that's actually brutal. And you guys, I was listening to your new single "Pain," and even the lyrics are brutal. So,
oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, talk a little bit about. I like to ask because you guys are a relatively new band. Like you've been around for a minute, but I don't think a lot of our viewers will know who you are. So tell your origin story. Tell me a little bit like how you guys got started. Go back as far as you want, or keep it as brief as you want. Just tell the origin story.
Well, I had a friend named Cameron, and basically started the band with our drummer, and they went ahead and like recorded the album and did everything. And he was like, "Hey man, you want to be in this band?" And he sent me just like the raw files with no vocals on it or anything. And I was like, hell yeah. I'm gonna be, yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm gonna be in the band. So we started, and just I started playing those songs with them. We played a bunch of shows, and I ended up having to quit because of just like a lot of, just work related stuff, life related stuff, and stuff like that. And they ended up getting our guitarist Mike, and he came all the way back down here from Chicago, and they recorded they recorded Sufferer. And like I'd started to like get over all that work stuff, and Cameron was kind of just like, "Hey man, if you ever want to get back in the band, just like let me know." I was like, "Nah man, I'm good right now," and then he kept like leaving that little breadcrumbs there for me, and I eventually I was just pretty freed up, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna like hop back on the bus for the long haul for sure. Started playing all those songs. All four of us finally collabed on the two releases after that, the split we did with Floorless and I Cannot Speak Through the Soil of My Mouth. And unfortunately, Cameron ended up leaving, to pursue his band Clot, and work on his graphic design and stuff. So shout out to him on that for sure. But then we were finally just like, just really, him leaving inspired a lot of change just because he was such a core member. And I think the way that we realigned ourselves for this record, just ended up being really, really, really positive, really, really organic, and very fruitful, and as far as like, just working on the record, it just strengthened our friendships just in general,
So is this the first record that you actually did the vocals on?
I had some like featured vocals on Sufferer, but I was, even though I wasn't in the band at the time, and then the two releases after that, I finally like was able to do some stuff.
Okay. So you guys are a three-piece though, right? Now?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're playing and singing.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's tough, man.
It is hard.
It's probably easier to tour that way, though.
Yeah.
Less band members. So, tell me a little bit about your influences. Like, what got you into this style of music? Like, what bands like your core influences for being in a band like of this nature, a band that's so heavy and chaotic?
Well, I have to say, like, the first like introduction to like heavy music I had was a compilation of Little John and Korn doing like a Run DMC Aerosmith type deal, you know what I mean? And they
Uh-huh.
and that was like 5th grade, and I was like, oh my god, like what is this like super intense music? And then I started just going down the rabbit trail, you know, Bullet for My Valentine, Slipknot, all that kind of stuff. And eventually I was like introduced to a venue in my hometown, and the 7 venue, and that community there was like what got me into heavy music, just like being there all the time, working there, sleeping there, you know, even before I was just like being interested in shows, you know. Really important that I feel like to have like just like a good all ages venue, because that's the main thing that like got me in.
That's cool. Yeah, the metal is such a tight knit community. Heavy music in general. I mean, I grew up in Salt Lake City area,
Yeah.
and it's like there wasn't a lot to do, so it was kind of like hardcore metal shows, like all that kind of stuff was just like always such a breath of fresh air because you bring all these people together and everybody can just get crazy, and it's always a safe environment too. I went to a death metal concert Sunday night in LA, and it was like in this dark warehouse in this really crappy part of town, but it was just like such a good vibe, you know, like because everyone there was so in it, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's really that's like the same thing for me. Like such a tight knit community, and when that venue like finally closed down, like just all the people that I knew were like so starved for shows that they would like start doing house shows and stuff like that, and like 200 people would come out. You know what I mean? They were so starved and just didn't want to. I don't know if they couldn't make it to Atlanta or whatever, but like, you know, it's still awesome how they like made it work still, you know.
yeah, that's like such the ethic too. Like I feel like it's always been that way. I mean, I was talking to Dino from Fear Factory a couple months ago about he like when they started out, they would play these backyard shows in LA, and the way that they do it out there on the east side is they'll have like some heavy like grindcore bands, and then like once it gets dark they bring a DJ in, and it's like a barbecue slash like dance party, you
Yeah.
know. But it's and then they charge like $5 a head, like they'll rope off the backyard, and like, you know, whoever runs the place makes a couple bucks and everybody wins, you know.
It's like the most inclusive show ever.
Yeah, it's those are the best too. Like so many bands come out of that, I feel like, too, so that's cool.
Yeah.
So did you grow up in Atlanta?
Yeah, for the better part of my life, like I grew up in Georgia, Atlanta, Douglasville, Marietta.
Awesome.
But I'm originally from Foley, Alabama.
Okay.
Down there
From the South.
Huh?
From the South.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting because Atlanta, obviously well known for the hip hop scene there.
Yeah.
There's so many great bands that come out of Atlanta. Like I was thinking about it, like just off the top of my head, Mastodon and Norma Jean are 2 bands that I love that came out of there.
They're like Norma Jean, the Chariot, especially.
Chariot.
You know, the owner of the venue that I like grew up in, his son-in-law was Josh Scoggin from the Chariot.
Oh, okay.
And so we would have like, there were a couple of Christmases, like, you know, he was there, I was there, and I was like, oh my God, like, I don't, this is like my idol right now. I don't even know what to do. He's across the room. You know what I mean?
That's dope.
I had an ex that was like, her brother-in-law was in Ludacris, which was like, you know, right. Yeah. So he like came out to a show last week. So it's just like such a small world in like the heavy community too, you know?
Yeah, that's so cool. That's what I was so impressed when I heard your stuff, because I'm like, wow, I've never heard a band this hard coming out of Atlanta in a while, because Seven Dust is from there. You know, Mastodon's heavy, but like Norma Jean and the Chariot are like the last time I heard stuff that's as abrasive as what you guys are putting out from Atlanta. So I was like, Awesome.
Thank you so much. It like it's such a breath of fresh air to hear that too. Like just like sitting on the album, I really like. We really appreciate that. Like the positive feedback has just been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the way that the world is right now, the state of things, I feel like abrasive music is just so fitting. There's so much anxiety and so much like crazy things going on, and maybe it's because we're in a transformational period, or who knows. But I like. Have you ever heard of the band Vision of Disorder?
I haven't.
Like in the late 90s, there's a period where I got like way into like the East Coast hardcore, and it was bands like Vision of Disorder, Candiria, Madball, H2O, stuff like that. And it has like Vision of Disorder specifically just has this like, it's like such an abrasive vibe, but there's still like such a positive energy in it. And I kind of get the same thing from what you guys are doing. So
that's really beautiful, man. Like to even like put us up there, and the zeitgeist of inspiration that you just mentioned, that's really beautiful. I do like especially like writing this album, I did want some like positive emotional elements to come out of it for sure. Just I feel like that that depth or texture, if you will, kind of ends up lending itself to making it more heavy, because it's not, it's like the silence before the storm. The thunderclap sounds louder because there's silence,
right.
Kind of how it is, or how I look at it, at least,
The dynamics.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements too. Like I love the like just the raw feedback when a song just opens, like with raw guitar feedback before it takes off. Like Converge does that a lot.
Yeah.
I really like just the rawness of it too. And you guys are like going the fuck off too. So it's like that. I love music of that nature too, because it's so dense, right? It's like the song is like 2 minutes, but there's like so many notes packed in there. Yeah. You can listen to it multiple times and still hear nuance that you might not have caught before. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love like the fast pace. The fast paced shit is. Oh, can I cuss on here?
Yeah, of course.
I love the fast paced shit, and I love the slow, like the low, slow, heavy stuff too. But like, I don't know. I feel like my wheelhouse has been like for heavy music is like making I don't even know really how to explain it, like a storyline of some sort, and just making that package as quick as possible, because in like my heart of hearts, I don't feel like people really want to hear like a heavy set for like longer than 20 minutes. So it's like,
yeah,
like,
it's true. There's truth to that, because like I went and saw Suffocation and this band Incantation the other night, and it's like they killed it, but it's like after like a 30-minute set of death metal, like your senses are exhausted, like not to mention the moshing and the people smashing into you and stuff, but like just like it's sensory overload, like my ears and my chest being pounded with this kick drum, and it's like it's like okay, I need to like go outside and get some fresh air for a minute and like catch a breath before the next band comes on,
like praying for intermission.
Yeah, and it's like it's kind of like that's what you sign up for, right? Like the relentless beating. But yeah, I totally get that, man. Like short and powerful.
Absolutely.
There's some punk rock aesthetic to that too, like it's that type of DIY, that rawness and stuff.
Yeah, that's like that's like the undercarriage holding everything together, pretty much is like that punk foundation. And even though like I didn't really like grow up like listening to a lot of like punk bands, I did like discover like things like Coke Bust and Vaccine and like Power Violence and stuff like that. So that really was like a huge like influence too for just like that. I mean, I feel like punk is like what holds this all together, and it stretches out into like black metal or like chaotic like mathcore, or like has grind elements, but it's still like I think of it as like still like a punk band at the end of the day.
Yeah, I could definitely hear that, because the songs are very short and to the point. It's very, like I said, it has the punk rock aesthetic all over it. Are there like specific bands that you would call out as an influence, either in like your guitar playing or your writing process or anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. I would say Nails is definitely a big one.
Love
Um,
them.
God, I'm trying to think. Chariot, Norma Jean, a lot of like stuff that's not even like necessarily heavy, like Night Tapes and Sade. Like those
I
still
love
like,
Sade.
yeah, they still like. God, I wish I had that shirt on I have right now. It's like the Doom font Sade from Bread.
I
Oh my!
love those.
I immediately bought that shirt. But
That's so cool.
yeah, just stuff like that. I'm trying to think of like more, because funnily enough, I don't really listen to heavy music that much. But
Sure.
the Full of Hells, the Vermin Womb, um, just shit like that. Iron Lung. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So you guys, the record, actually, I got to give you props too. I had to look up the word liminal when I read the title of your album. I was like, that's an interesting word. I'm sure that means something, and it's actually a really interesting concept. So I guess like talk a little bit about the writing process or the concepts that went into the new record, and it's out December 2nd. Is that right? Or
I think so. I
let me
wish I
look at my
had.
notes.
He has all the answers, but
December 15th. My bad. My
yeah,
bad.
I should
December
know this.
15th.
But yeah,
I should know this.
the, the Mike actually like came up with the concept. I told Evan a while ago. I was like, I want to do an album about time, just because time is something that I struggle with a lot. Whether it be, how much time I have after work, uh, getting older and time feeling smaller, years passing and passing, and how much time I waste.
That's
And
relatable.
it all kind of ties into, for sure, like it all kind of ties into like what you were saying earlier, like the kind of in between weird anxious kind of period of life we're in right now. The same thing with Cameron leaving the band, that kind of in between where we're like figuring things out, trying to figure out what do we want to sound like. um and that's where like the liminality came from, or the word liminal. It's just, there's no here or there. It just is what it is, and this is right now. And the whole purpose, or the album was like an exercise in trusting ourselves, because we didn't really try to overthink anything, and just like got high and like did what we thought was cool, and that's like the coolest thing. And Mike is always super reassuring about that too, just the fact that like, anytime I'm ever feeling down about where we are or where we were, he would always be like, hey man, like, even in like this time that we're in, like the band's paying for itself, and like we're putting together music, and that's like winning right there. Like we're
Yeah.
doing it. So it's just, yeah, that's like where the whole concept came from. And it's still like, it's something that will never go away. There's always some phase of life or some transition that like feels uncertain, or makes you have to, maybe question a lot of things. But my message on this is just to let people know that I understand. Like I feel the same way. I like there's somebody that feels the same way, even if it doesn't matter.
It's interesting. What you were saying made me think of. I listened to the Steve Jobs biography, and there was this whole bit about how the journey is the reward, and it's like everyone's always trying to get to some destination when they don't realize that like the present, like getting to that destination, is part of the reward, if not the actual reward.
Yeah.
Like that, like when you look back on your time, like as a band, it's like you're trying to get to like a gold record or like the big tour or whatever. And it's like, but all the time you spend in the van slugging it out with your boys, that's like, that's the reward.
Yeah. And then you look back and you're like, damn, I miss those times where we were just like doing this. Damn, I miss those times where we were just doing that. And it's like, I didn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's a big lesson, even with my relationship. My girl is just she's taught me to like, hey, look at a sunset every once in a while, you fuck, like,
Yeah.
take a moment and just like, you know, appreciate what you have now, because the moment is an illusion. That's all we really have. There's no time.
Live in the present. Yeah, it's so hard to do that just because of the way our society is structured too. It's like we're like in this hamster wheel trying to get to the goal all the time. Like, I need to get this money, or I need to do this, or I need to get to this point. So yeah, that's profound.
Yeah, the rat race is toxic.
Yeah.
That's for lack of a better word.
Yeah. I think that's one of the, I was talking to someone the other day. That's one of the silver linings of the whole pandemic thing is I feel like a lot of people like were forced to like were forcibly pulled out of their routine and had to think about like what they were doing and why they were doing it.
Yeah.
And was it worth it, you know?
That's really like, God, I think about that every day. Every time I have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing it?
That's relatable.
It's that, I mean, that, especially with COVID, I mean, that really, I mean, it was so strange, and it almost feels like it didn't exist, you know, just is, I can't quite come to terms with it yet, but I feel like we are all like traumatized from it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I still see people walking around in the streets with masks on, like in the streets, and I'm like, are you okay, dude? Like you're in the streets. Like, I mean, if it makes you feel good, good for you, but like, I don't think that's going to help you at all when you're in the open air streets. But you know, that's just me. I don't want to offend anyone. Like if that's you, like I'm not dissing you or anything.
I definitely
not you, but you know, I mean, people walking.
I don't even, and that's the thing too, is like when you think about that, it's like I'll see somebody in the street and I'll think about it for like a second, but it's like it's so normal now just to see a mask. You know, I used to watch like Discovery Channel and stuff, and I see like you know, like a documentary on like Korea or something like that, and a lot of people were like wearing masks in those videos.
Oh yeah, it's common in Asia.
Yeah, I was like, that's such a strange like cultural difference to me. I wonder, like, you know, I didn't know why it was that they do that, and then it's like now it's like the exact same thing. I don't try not to get too far down this rabbit trail.
Yeah, no. We don't have to go down that road. But the point you're making, I think, is a good one in that. Yeah, it does seem like the last couple of years, it's hard to like look back at that and go like, wait, what did that really happen?
It was a lot of time, and it was a long time ago too.
And it's like every day I'm like, what? It's 2023. Holy, 2013 was 10 years ago.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, the point of all this is the concept liminal. I guess explain to people what it means.
Liminal. I forget like the actual. I wonder if I can close out of this.
The dictionary definition. I can.
Yeah.
I can pull up the dictionary definition because I that's what I did. I just went to Google and typed. In fact, it's still there.
Yeah.
Occupying a position at or on both sides of a boundary or threshold. I was in the liminal space between past and present. And then the second definition says relating to a transitional or initial stage of a process.
Yeah, for sure. That's like, is it pretty much like I was saying, just like transitional stages, knowing that time is an illusion, we're all connected. There's no like beginning or end, there just is, you know, that's the things you have to sit with within that, and how you deal with them is basically what liminal means to me, and what this, you know, this record means.
That's really cool. Like I said, I love when I have to look up a word, so props for that.
No problem. We'll keep them coming.
Yeah. So what is you guys' plans when the album comes out? The album comes out in December, obviously. So I doubt you're like instantly going on a tour at Christmas time. But do you guys have any like touring plans or anything big planned in the next year? Or anything you want to talk about in that realm?
Well, I know we talked about recently that we definitely want to do at least like one or two like bigger runs towards the west and up the East Coast because we couldn't make it this year. But aside from that, trying to just like go around all the Southeast any weekends that we can, maybe 2-day, 3-day kind of deals. Excuse me. That'll be a lot of what I see coming up for next year. And, obviously like local shows here and there, but really trying to just like spread out a little bit.
Yeah. Have you guys been out to LA yet?
No, not yet. I've never been in my life further than Texas.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you guys get out here next year so I can catch you live.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked to played with the guys from Glassing, I think last year. They're a really good band out of Austin, and they said that they would definitely help us out with anything that we need. So that's going to be really, really fun. I mean, even just like meeting so many people all the time and like establishing those connections. I mean, it really can get you far.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about that a few times, like just how like a band like Metallica I always use as the example, where it's like, yeah, Metallica's music is great, but the reason that they're so universally beloved is because they've been in every city for like the last 30 years touring, like, and shaking hands with people, and you know what I mean? That like that means something at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't really have like just how hard it is to even just break into a new city sometimes when nobody knows you. It's just like, yeah, like those connections are really valuable, and it's important that they're genuine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the main thing, because they're like, I've met so many like sweet people. And I used to tell my mom that all the time when I was first getting into like heavy music. She's like, I don't understand why you're blah blah blah. And I'm just like, these people are like some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. They've changed my entire life. I'm a completely different person than I would have been being outside of the scene. So it's like just the most generous and like life loving people. Obviously you have your, assholes out there in general, but like for the most part,
Yeah. I mean, as a kid who grew up in the heavy music scene, like I grew up going into like Pantera shows and, like I told you about Vision of Disorder, Candiria, all those hardcore bands I was in the early 2000s. It's like, it doesn't matter what the subgenre is or what, like people in the heavy music community are genuinely good people for the most part.
Absolutely.
And it's a beautiful community to be a part of.
100%. Yeah.
Let me ask you this: do you have a hard stop at 1:30? Do you have another call?
I'm sorry.
Do you have a hard stop? Do you have to jump on another interview after this, or
no, not at all?
You take a few. Okay, cool. I want to make sure we weren't gonna run out of time, but I was curious. How did you guys decide on the name Apostle?
Oh, I think Cameron, actually, our old member, he came up with the name, and he really liked to use, even though he was non-religious, he really liked to use like religious terms to express himself, and just kind of deal with the trauma that came from religion. And I forget I'm stalling to say that I forget why how the actual name came to be, but yeah, that's the reason why it is the name it is. And
I got you.
A lot of people thought we were a Christian band for a long time just because that fact, and the lyrics too. I was like, come on, man, you gotta stop.
Yeah, I could see how you could. Plus, you're from Atlanta, and like Norma Jean kind of had that element, but they were never like. That's the thing about those Tooth and Nail era bands is I feel like even though they waved the Christian banner to some degree, it was so low key. Like unless you really knew, like they didn't make a big deal out of it.
For sure, I have a theory about that where I feel like all of those bands were like so Christian back then, obviously because a lot of people were Christian back then, but it was like the only way to get our moms to like let us go. Like, hey, it's a Christian band, Mom.
Yeah,
it's a Christian. So
that's so funny. I used to work in this office and I had like a little deck by my thing and I would play Norma Jean. I just have this clear memory of the guy who was sitting in the office across from me, leaning out his door one time and like, "Hey Dustin, can you turn your devil music down?" And I'm like, "Yo, that's a Christian band, buddy." So yeah, you're probably right.
Checkmate.
Yeah. Shows what you know.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I don't have. That's pretty much most of what I had question wise. I mean, I love the music. You guys don't have a ton of stuff out. The Liminal EP comes out on the 15th.
Mhm.
But you do have several songs. But you guys don't. Do you have any other full length records? There's one full length record before this one, right?
Yeah, just one.
Okay.
Just the one, and we're planning on putting out the next release. We're wanting it to be a full length for sure, because I really want to like. It's hard to like fit everything you want into just a few songs and like make it all work. So hopefully, like we'll get a chance to expand everything into like 20, 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah, and the climate today, I mean, I see so many bands now just releasing a single or an EP to do small tours behind because it's like everything moves so fast now and there's so much content. That's another thing, like it's that double-edged sword of it's really easy nowadays for anyone to record and release an album, but there's so much stuff to sift through. It's like you really gotta get out there and push yourself,
Yeah, you have to want it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to keep that ball rolling with, just life stuff. And yeah, but like, it's just like you said, like after like 5 minutes, pretty much nobody cares about the thing you just did. So like you just got, but then if you put out too much, then they're like, hey, you good. We're good. Okay.
Yeah. Calm down. No, I definitely, I see, I like the attitude of quality over quantity for sure. I like when artists, spend some time on their music. Like I like to use the example of like in the rap world, like Kendrick Lamar is the kind of guy who will spend a few years like really thinking about his material and like putting out something that's like incredibly well conceived. Whereas like a lot of other people in the rap world these days, just like here's a song with a beat and like me going hey.
Yeah, I heard one of my favorite rappers is Earl Sweatshirt, and he said sometimes I'll just sit on a beat until I'm grown enough for it.
That's so cool.
That's me. Like I have to like my skill level verbally needs to match the quality of it. You know what I mean? That's like the coolest.
That's very self-aware of him to say that too. He's like, I'm not ready for this yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also too, I think like with that kind of stuff, it's like you have to, like if you don't feel it, if you don't have good inspiration, like if you hear a beat and you're like, oh, I like this, but I'm not feeling something for it yet, then that's like the mature thing to do is like wait till you have the right inspiration for it.
Yeah, just sit on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the way that the internet culture has made things, it's funny because it's like really flipped the script in a lot of ways where you have a lot more respect for the people who are a little bit more private because everyone's constantly like on all the time.
Right. Yeah,
So.
I try, or like just the that you saying that like reminds me. I have a lot of friends that actually just aren't even on social media at all, and it's like I'm
Smart.
like, your brain must be just like free flowing because I really wish I could do that. Like it's
I see it with like the younger generation too. Like my son, like he's like off Snapchat and off like TikTok and stuff now. And it's like there's a little bit of I think of backlash to it where he's like, I don't want to see all these idiots like what they're doing right now. Like I noticed that I'm like getting distracted and spending all this time flipping through it. And it's like
God,
by the same token,
it's like
I love it.
Like it's like you're like it's like a drug, and I don't want to see these other addicts. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I also liken it to like television or other technology. Back in the day when like television first became a thing, like there's the devil's gonna get us, and even the steam engine. I think there was like a protest when the steam engine became a thing. They're like, God didn't want us to travel by rail or something. It's like that. It's like, okay, it's a new technology. Yeah, there's gonna be like, some pluses and minuses and.
Yeah, for sure. God, man, religion has some persistent people in its corner.
Yeah, completely. And God bless them.
For sure. Oh God.
All right, man. Well, we'll wrap up. Thank you so much again for taking the time. I love the music. Everybody should go out and listen to the single that's out now, "Pain" by Apostle. It's on everywhere, and the album Liminal comes out on December 15th. And man, come back through and talk to me again when you guys have some news, or definitely if you guys get out to Los Angeles, I'd love to see you live. So have have someone hit me up, or I'll keep an eye out too. I'll be keeping an eye on you guys. So
Okay, and yeah, thank you so much for having us, and thank the audience for tuning in and everything. We really appreciate that. Seriously.
Absolutely, man. If there are other bands in your scene too, send them our way, man. I want to talk to more hardcore bands. Like we get a lot of bands. You know, I talk to everybody. I love music in general, and there's but I want more bands like you guys. I want more of the like punk, heavy, like dark stuff. That's what I like. So
I got you on.
All right, man. Great to meet you, Maurice. Take care of yourself.
You too. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, man.
See you.
All right, everybody, check out Apostle. The new song is "Pain." And it's brutal. It's great stuff. And they're a relatively new band, hardcore band out of Atlanta, where a lot of my favorite heavy bands come from. A few of my favorite heavy, Mastodon and Norma Jean and the Chariot, to name a few. Seven Dust is out of Atlanta. There's a lot of great rock bands out of Atlanta. The Black Crows. So Atlanta just has a soul of a city like New Orleans, or anyway, you get the idea. Thanks for tuning in, and tomorrow we have the band Mavis. They're a German metalcore band, actually, and their stuff, I've been listening to it. It's fucking heavy. So tune in tomorrow for that. And if you didn't catch us yesterday, we did a whole breakdown of Metallica versus Megadeth records over the years, how every Megadeth record is like a response to Metallica record. So check that out. And Joey was able to loop in Pete Rizzi from this band called Who on Earth, and it was great to have him on there, providing some additional perspective on a lot of that stuff. So check that out. And again, tomorrow we got Phil from the band Mavis, and we'll be live at 1 p.m. PST. I believe that's like 11 EST, 4 EST or something like that. Anyway, 1 p.m. PST tomorrow. We got Phil from the band Mavis. Tune in. We will see you next time, and keep it real.